In a country where 1 out of 3 Americans are obese, what are we doing wrong? It has to do with what we're eating. Take soda for instance. Filled with high corn fructose syrup, well above our necessary intake of sugar, I don't think we need to be drinking this every single day. Or let's take popcorn for instance. 1 to 3 days worth of saturated fats and 1,500 milligrams of sodium. And the butter? To be honest, I don't even know what's in the butter. But the point of the matter is that it tastes good. But when we're living in a society where we're trying to constantly balance out what's good for us and then what tastes good, what are we supposed to do? Well, I'll tell you what we can do. Well, we can start by doing better. Now, I know this adjustment can be hard for a lot of people. I mean, I totally get it. I work at a movie theater. Well, what if I told you that fine line I was talking about earlier about balancing out what's good for you and what tastes good does exist? I think that's my goal today. I want to show you how to make something that's both good for you and tastes amazing. Alright, so 1 week later and a mortgage taken out, we have our fresh ingredients, and today we're going to be making a veggie chicken stir fry. Alright, so starting off with our ingredients, we have cauliflower, which is filled with sodium, carbohydrates, fiber, sugars, protein, vitamin C, vitamin B6, and magnesium. Moving on to broccoli, we got vitamin C, vitamin K, IU, vitamin A, MCG folate, potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, iron, calcium, and zinc. Very good vegetable to include into your meals. And then we have some asparagus. Inside our asparagus we have vitamin C, iron, vitamin B6, magnesium, calcium, vitamin D. Good source of nutrition right here. Moving on to carrots. Carrots are a good source of vitamin C, iron, vitamin B6, magnesium, calcium, vitamin D. Now we're going to get a little fancy. We got a nice ginger root. Ginger root has a little bit of sodium, potassium, dietary fiber, vitamin C, iron, vitamin B6, magnesium, calcium, and vitamin D as well. Up next we got our red peppers, which is a good source of fat, sodium, carbohydrates, fiber, a little bit of sugar, protein, and another good source of vitamin C. In this dish we're also going to be including a clove of garlic. Inside this garlic there is a good source of fiber, sugars, protein, vitamin C, no fat, and a little bit of sodium. We also are going to be including an onion, which is a good source of sodium, potassium, vitamin C, iron, vitamin B6, magnesium, calcium, vitamin D, and cobalamin. And then to get a little bit more fancy, we're also going to be including water chestnuts, which includes a little bit of fat, carbs, fiber, protein, potassium, manganese, and copper. All right. And to finish off the rest of our ingredients, we have vinegar. I have some homemade chicken broth that we made from last night's chicken. Avocado oil, which is a good source of vitamin E. Got a little bit of honey right here. We got some sesame seeds, and then a single chicken breast, which is going to be good for protein. Alright, the first step of making this dish is you want to make sure that all your vegetables are nicely washed. I've already taken the liberty of doing that already, but the first thing we're going to do is prep our veggies, and we're going to start off by chopping up our carrots. We're going to chop up some of our asparagus. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to peel some broccoli. Don't want to put too much, but we also don't want to put too little. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take apart some of this cauliflower, throw her on in there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut up our peppers. And honestly, peppers are up to your discretion. I usually like more peppers in mine, so I'm going to include a little bit more, but about this much would be good enough for you. You're going to chop it nice up though. You want it nice and diced. I'm not going to do too many water chestnuts. I'm only going to do a little bit. That should be about enough for me. It's really all up to your discretion. You do whatever you want. It's kind of pick and choose how much you want to throw in with each other. It's amounts don't really matter that much. It's all your preference. Our onion. Right? Kind of like this, and then probably enough onions. Alright, next step is we're going to cut up some chicken. I made sure to wash this knife. After you are done cutting your chicken, make sure to wash it again. You do not want to cross-contaminate. And it doesn't have to be too fancy. I mean, I just do small little bite-sized pieces of chicken, but ain't no one judging. Just cut it to your discretion. Just little bite-sized pieces. First thing we're gonna do, I've already taken the liberty to peel up our ginger. We're gonna chop it up and grate it. Alright, and we're only gonna be adding a little bit of a pinch of ginger. We don't want to add too much. This is a lot of fragments going on with this right now. I don't want to add too much to overwhelm the dish, but that should be about enough. Maybe a little bit more. Should be good. Alright, the final thing we're going to do is we're going to crush a garlic clove. One should be good enough. You don't want it to become too garlicky, but I think I'm going to be fine doing just one. We'll get away with it. Get all that in there, all that good stuff. Alrighty. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our stir-fry sauce, and the recipe didn't provide too many directions on exact measurements, but I'd say we're going to eyeball it for now. Just kind of do it at your own discretion kind of thing. I'd say about 3 cups of chicken broth should be plenty enough for moving forward with that. So we got three cups of that, and the next thing we're going to do, I forgot to mention, you're going to also need some soy sauce. We've got some simple La Choy soy sauce. It's going to help us add a little bit of flavoring. I'd say about, we're going to probably do 1.5 tablespoons. You know what, actually? Yeah, 1.5 tablespoons would be good enough for that. Alrighty. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a tablespoon of honey. Next thing we're going to add is a little bit of vinegar. And in terms of vinegar, I'm probably going to only add half a tablespoon. I don't want to overpower everything, so we're going to do half a tablespoon to be good enough. And what you're going to want to do next, you're going to whisk all that together. What we're going to do next, we're going to take our ginger and we're going to press it directly into the sauce. That should be good enough. And then what we're going to do is we're going to throw our garlic in there next. And once again, we're going to whisk it together. Next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your stove and get your pan piping hot. In order to cook this correctly, you're going to need this pan to be steaming hot. So after you got your flame going, you're going to want to add your avocado oil. Basically, you want enough to coat the bottom of your pan. You don't want too much, but you also don't want too little. So I didn't add enough right there, so I'm going to add just a little bit more. Yeah, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. That should be good enough. And then now the next thing we do is we wait for it to get hot enough.
Good.
Okay. Next thing you want to do is you want to add your chicken. Don't want to overcrowd it. Just going to drop pieces in there. Chicken's going to be about 3 to 4 minutes on each side before you really want to start stirring her around. So once it's kind of at that golden, like kind of like little golden brown, you can be ready to take it off and set it on your plate. We're going to be throwing it back in anyway, so you can just start plating it up. Now that our chicken's been removed, what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit more oil to our pan. And the first thing we're going to cook is our onions and our red peppers. And you're going to cook these for about 2 to 3 minutes, and that should be good enough. So now that those have cooked for about 2 minutes, what we're going to do next is we're going to add a little bit of our little sauce. I don't think we're going to end up using it all, but we're going to use a little bit of it. Should be enough. What's next is now we're going to add all the rest of our ingredients.
Close the screen door.
Yeah.
It'll cancel.
Once all your veggies are added, you're going to stir her around. After everything's kind of been cooked and everything's starting to soften up a little bit, you can then throw in your chicken. And then we're going to let that cook for a couple minutes, let everything meld together. After she's cooked for a little while, what we're going to do next is we're going to add some sesame seeds. We're going to add a little bit of a pop to our meal. Just a little bit. We're just going to sprinkle it in, nothing too crazy. There we are. Alrighty. And after you let it cool off for a couple minutes, you dish her up. She's ready to be served. Alright, Mr. Cameraman. So, yeah, that's your plate right there, man.
Okay.
You want to both try it at once?
Alright, yeah.
If it was worth it?
Oh, it's gonna be worth it.
Alright.
Ready?
Cheers.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Good. Real good.
Holy shit, that is really good. It's worth it, 100%.